Hey, hey. Okay, I'm really excited for this conversation today. I mean, I've already had it, but for you to hear it, because I know that this is one of those things that a lot of people hear about, but don't actually get or like truly understand. And more importantly, don't realize how much it is truly impacting their results. We are talking about somatic healing today. You know, we ask the question, what if the reason things aren't working isn't because you don't know enough, isn't because you need a better strategy, but because your body does not feel safe holding or receiving what you say you want? And this convo feels especially meaningful for me. Yeah, I even cry in it. Of course I do. Because I've known Shannon for years and I've seen different seasons of her life, her business, her leadership, witnessing her transformation in real time in these moments, and not just in what she has built and is building, but truly how she holds it and moves through it. And there's a difference. So now to be sitting here having this conversation with her feels just like a really cool full circle moment. So with that, let me officially introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Shannon DeSouza. She is the founder of Aurea Goddess Festival. She is a wealth activator for high achieving women and also a co-founder of multiple AI companies, which I love because we're literally talking about body and technology in the same human. She's closed over 50 million in sales. She supported multiple seven-figure businesses, and she really blends strategy, energy work, and embodiment. And what we really explored today is why somatic healing, of all the things that she has done and is capable of doing, is actually her energetic advantage. So let's get into it.
Okay, so now that you've all gotten so excited to meet my guest from that intro, let's officially welcome her, Shannon. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome.
Oh my God, Jessica, full circle moment. We've had so many lifetimes together. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, yeah, we were just chatting before, and it's like, where do we even start? Because as you said, we have known each other through so many cycles, so many lifetimes, always connected, yet this does feel like a moment that we are meant to come back together in this conversation. So
First, nice
I'm
to
so
see how
excited.
proud of you I am for showing up, shining bright, using your voice, leading women, changing lives, saying yes to yourself. Because I think many, many, many women, especially, they know they're called to serve and they are scared and they don't say yes and they don't bet on themselves. So it has been like a gift to witness you stand in your power and shine bright and lead so many others to be in their gifts. So you really need to take a moment to just soak that.
Thank you. Thank you. Same. And as you could probably imagine, everyone listening, yes, Shannon has known me prior than this decade, right? So this is like a lot has happened. Okay. So let's get right into it because, we're bringing through a concept here today that I feel is the energetic advantage for so many. And yet, in order for it to be an advantage, you have to really own and accept it and surrender to it in some ways. And that is somatic healing. And I just put a pause here for a moment because I feel that that's a term, even myself, that I hear so often. And if you're listening, maybe you've heard it many times, maybe you haven't. But it's something that I think we hear and we go, oh, yeah, I know what that is. When actually I feel this is where I want to start. When you hear or when you feel this term, this concept, this advantage, somatic healing, what is your definition of it? What does it mean to you? How would you explain it in the language that we have here?
So I'm extremely intuitive and divinely led. And so when you ask this question, it is the experience of me first getting from the mind to the body. And then once I'm able to get into the body, it's to the spirit, right? And then a divine connection. And so if I had to say that in, layman's terms, what does that actually look like? For me, somatic healing is breathwork, right? That was my very, very first breakthrough, as an example, to be able to get into my body, start feeling my feelings, and then releasing it off of me. And so through that release, I'm becoming lighter, and then I can start connecting to God, source, what, pick your word, And that's only one type of somatic healing, right? Other things I've embarked on as I've been, around the world. It could be something as simple as meditation. It could be something as simple as visualization. It could be right now, I'm very much in love with getting into the feeling of my future identity and my future self. And once I'm in that frequency, now, if I have to make that plain, if I'm in that feeling, like experience, what does my nervous system feel like or resonate in that experience? Then that's how that comes into me, because I'm now familiar with it. So like a big part of my journey right now is creating my own safety, and then creating safety in romantic relationship. And so because I know what a baseline for safety is of what I want to feel like in relationship, when I go on these dates and I go on these experiences, if I can't rest into that, then I know it's not my person, right? So that's my example experience.
I love it. And I think what's so beautiful is you just described so many entry points, right? There are so many entry points to this work, which in my mind feels so expansive. And yet, there is a reason why everyone in the world isn't doing it. And so I'm curious for you, I don't know if it was the first breathwork session or what brought you to this work, but take us back to where kind of you were. And was there a catalyst? Was there one moment? Was there a series of moments? What really had you curious enough, or what led you to be curious enough to try this?
So this brings me back to maybe around 15 years ago, actually.
Okay.
And I was in Toronto, and I would travel a lot in sales for work. I was in tech. And every time I came back to Toronto, I was like feeling restless and unhappy. And why am I here? And if I have to unpack that now, which I have, of course, it was my soul telling me like, I'm not feeling grounded. So it started with this search for like more peace.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I could recognize that this city wasn't it. And so that begun the journey of like, where can I find peace, and just like needing to go. And I manifested that. And then that brought me to Vancouver. And in Vancouver, immediately, like I could breathe because of the mountains and the water and nature. And so that was like my first, I would say, journey to somatic healing, is realizing like I need to be in a physical environment that makes me feel safe. That's why a lot of men, they do their healing in nature. And a lot of us women right now, especially, I can only speak to single women because I'm having these conversations. We sometimes can have a frustration around like men are not doing healing work in the same way that we are. And so therefore they're not spiritual. And it's like, we're not the same sex. We're not going to do it the same way.
Can't they just do it like us, Shannon? Come on.
You know what we need we need polarizing energy.
Yeah.
So that's why they don't do it the same way, right? So that was, I think, my first portion of that. It started bubbling in me when I was in Vancouver, that I desired to learn about spirituality. And I remember this around the time that we met. And then I magnetized it to my business, because at the time I had a digital marketing agency. So then I started calling in, women with gifts who did breath work. And then I learned about breath. And I would say that was my first really, really big somatic experience, which got me hooked, because in that first experience, I let go of the trauma of being bullied from grade 5 to grade 8. And I forgave. And that wasn't something that I was able to do in the mind. That was something that had to be let go of, right? And so then I started magnetizing, Reiki practitioners, numerologists, like different types of coaches, spiritual coaches, all sorts of life coaches, like all sorts of things, where then I was like going deeper into these modalities, right? And then I got so curious. And then I started like digging into different types of things, Akashic records, and I magnetized clients around that. And it was just wild. And then I started my own practices, and then I like started traveling the world in search of different experiences. And then I've been on a plant medicine journey now for the last 3 years, and that broke me wide open. And I would say that is what's been able to get me to this like deeper surrender of just saying yes to the divine and having this, umbilical cord style connection to God, where I get messages all the time, right? And that's how I ended these last 3 months. God said I had to go there, and I said, okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this, because what I just heard you say, and I want everyone to hear, is many times it's about the breadcrumbs. And I just heard when you said that, the breadcrumbs to Dubai. And 10 years ago, as you're following these breadcrumbs, right? And without even knowing or connecting yet with your future self or your future identity, you are trusting yourself to follow these breadcrumbs with no idea of where you are being led. So I'm laughing because I know everybody right now is hearing like, Dubai, wait, what? So talk us through a little bit about some of those breadcrumbs that maybe you didn't know in the moment, but hindsight, looking back, you were like, oh, breadcrumb, 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 take us to Dubai. And now I feel that, again, so intuitively, you are continuing with these breadcrumbs. So how are you feeling now post?
Totally. So my whole life, if I have to look at it, has all been divine and breadcrumbs.
Really?
It's all connected. The fact that I started in the tech industry, the fact that now I'm, a software CEO and a partner in multiple AI companies, that's not coincidence. This is all preparation. This is all trainings. This is all experiences, and they're all like building on top of each other, right? The fact that now even I have this like whole tech life persona, but also like how much spiritual work I've done and how I'm leading a community of women to come home to themselves, right? And I've had to go through my own darkness in order to be able to get to the light, in order to understand and have empathy and make recommendations for these women who need leadership and guidance, right? And sisterhood. So how did the breadcrumbs? Essentially, I would say as soon as I left the judgment, as soon as I decided to stop needing to control and create meaning of everything and just decided to be open and want to connect to my intuition, it all showed up.
I just want to pause here because I think this is a huge aha moment for a lot of people. Everyone, I believe, has these breadcrumbs, but unless you are able to see them for what you are and be willing to go down and examine and pick them up without looking around you to see who is watching, that judgment, like what you just said, is so key. Because I think many people tell the story of, well, I don't have these, and I don't want to be this direct, but I will. You do. You're just not noticing them, or you're not willing to notice and act.
Well, I would say they're paying attention to the noise instead of listening to the signal, right? There's just so static everywhere. And so if you pay attention to the static, you'll hear the static. Like you pay attention to the message, you'll hear the message. So we all get to decide because we all have, the same baseline of gifts, but then we also have our super gifts that are unique to each of us. And we have to want to uncover them because as soon as you ask for it, you will receive.
Yes. And that is identity work, right? Building that capacity to really be able to receive and embody what it is you want. And that's exactly, again, the polarity of why I say many women they don't fear failure. It's really a fear of success, because knowing kind of that identity on the other side, it's so hard, right? Because even if you want it, it will require some type of shift or change or outside of your comfort zone.
Well,
Talk to that.
well, why? Let's talk about,
Yes, let's talk about yours.
I moved 6 times. I moved Toronto to Vancouver, Vancouver to Kelowna. Like I am creating a tricontinental lifestyle. I am a mother. So let's just have that. Let's just take a look at that, because that was deep shadow work I had to do for this last 3 months that I was away in Dubai and India. I publicly got attacked for, leaving my child and creating chaos of, leaving my husband, and how that's traumatized him, and this was someone from a person who hasn't talked to me in 20 years, who's just, watching me since university, never talked to me, and then just was triggered by what I'm doing and what I'm creating. So what she said to me was not something I didn't already know, that wasn't already in my awareness. And I had already had to work on that and what that meant. And I had to decide, do I want to be, the same woman that has been in my lineage for thousands and thousands of years, who is just self-sacrificing and in servitude to their family and, doesn't know themselves and doesn't impact the world at their deepest capacity? Or do I say yes to God's calling and stand up and do difficult things and show my child that I can be resilient and I can create in any, global atmosphere, and I can build relationships and I can do business and, I can decide what my life wants to look like at any point in time? I have that power. Do I want to embody that? And that's my decision. And so it's unfortunate that, we live in a time or we lived in thousands of years of a time where we have been controlled into a specific narrative. And in fact, women who have these kinds of powers, we've been burned, we've been drowned, we've been set on fire. But there's a reason why we're remembering, right? Because this is not Shannon. This is deeper. This is bigger than me. And it's just my job to say yes. And when I say yes, it all unfolds in a million times more of a beautiful way than I could have ever dreamed myself, the human version. And so every time that I've now said yes, like for example, in 2024, I just rocket a desire. I'm like, I speak on a stage in Dubai. Okay, great. I just loved it there. And then all of a sudden, a year later, and I'm like, oh, that Dubai thing hasn't happened yet. And then the next month it happened. And then we went there. I got sucked into the vortex and I saw the opportunities. And, I'm at the forefront of AI right now. I was like, if I want to be, a leader in this space, I need to go where everyone's congregating. That's where Dubai came in. I said, okay, let me go and explore this. What opportunities can we get clients? What can we do? And granted, these are all the gifts I already have. So this isn't some out of nowhere. I just got this idea. I've been in enterprise sales, right? I've done over $50 million in business already. I made a shit ton of money. So I know how to have these conversations. Now it's just let me push myself to the global stage, because I very much can see what's happening here in North America versus, Middle East versus Asia versus this versus that. And there's a huge shift happening. And so I'm being intuitively led to do this work. So no surprise, I get there, I start building the relationships, the contacts, the connections. I'm getting in front of, massive, massive hotel brands with, 400 locations with ease. With ease.
Okay, my mind is going so many different directions because I just think there's so much goodness here. 2 questions that I think will really help people really embody and understand this that I want to ask you. The first is, when you're sharing all of this, what I am hearing is a dissolving of duality, or bringing things together that historically have been separate, right? So you talk about, even from an outsider's perspective, if someone were not to know you, right, they might have the view of, oh, AI, technology, and then look on the other side, and we're going to get into it, and like Women's Goddess Festival, like true feminine, and whoa, that feels, like a paradox. And then going back to that example you shared of someone looking at you and essentially judging you and saying, oh, mother on one side, and making a definition of what that meant to her. And then let's just go completely in the opposite direction of like global traveler, experiential, like learner, like what you were being divinely led to explore and experience. So can you talk to us about, has this always been a gift of yours? Kind of this blending of duality or seeing things as a whole, not separate. Has this always been a gift? And maybe even had there been times in your life where you resisted that? And in the resistance, you were like, oh, now I am embodying that.
No,
'Cause I feel that's such a gift you have, like seeing this whole, seeing everything as a whole.
So Stray, my ex, has definitely highlighted that I have this ability to look at everything like 50,000 feet out. Like,
Yeah.
and I understand how it's all working together. So that definitely, I think I've had that gift a very long time. In regards to duality, I will say, like, I'm a believer of and. Yeah, I'm a woman of God, but I am also a witch. I'm a tech CEO, but I am also very rooted in divine, like in the goddess, right? So I don't feel I need to be one thing.
Yes.
I have given myself permission to be everything, to be all-knowing, to be omniscient, right? Like omnipresent, right? Omnichannel, like all of the damn things. But that's also because I think one of the things you said was the work that I've had to do in this lifetime right now is about removing things that are on me, right? It's not so much let me carry more. The work that I've done is deep womb work in my lineage to get rid of the gunk, to get rid of like the things that have been passed down to me, the narratives that we've been indoctrinated into of what motherhood looks like, what women's life looks like, what single life looks like, what marriage life looks like, right? And I very much have played to those narratives, right? Like I come from a lineage of arranged marriage. So as much as my parents wanted me to have a love marriage, they stewarded me to find a partner in the exact same way they were taught, which meant that I had a checklist. And which meant that as an Indian woman, I come from a very strong lineage of accomplishment specifically around academic and money and like material, right? And so I've always governed my life in that way because I didn't know any different. And so when I've gone on this journey, what I've done is remove the values, so to say, or this perspective that isn't truly mine. And I've like gone deep with myself and looked in the mirror and decided what's important to me. Well, guess what? Freedom is very important to me. And I think because I'm now the first woman in my entire lineage that has created financial freedom, created freedom from a relationship that doesn't serve, right? Yeah. Created this, I'm the only woman on my father's side who is this big of an entrepreneur, right? Who desires to create legacy and generational wealth, right? If I have to look at my other cousins, and there's nothing wrong with this at all, they are the neck in their relationship, but the earner is the man, right? The significant earner is the man. And so I'm just breaking so many different types of barriers in this lifetime. And the gift that I've had to give myself is to tell myself what someone thinks of me is none of my business. Mm-hmm. Just sit with that line, right? Too many of us are so concerned about what our mother-in-law thinks or, what our neighbors think or what our kids' teachers think, whatever. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
None of my business.
I love that. Okay, this is a really big question that I think a lot of people struggle with, and I'm super curious. It's so funny that we're getting so into these things that you always hear, and we always hear this, and it's, but what does it actually mean? So you hear a lot in this space, just let go of whatever is not yours. Just release it, and it's okay. I have, I think, my own way, but I think this is the key. I think everyone has their own unique way. So I'm asking you about your unique way. How did you explore and truly discern and find out for yourself what was or is yours and what is not? Was it a process for you? Is it a feeling? Take us through how you were able to do that, to first, because I think even before we can release it or let it go, we have to identify and discern, oh, that is mine, that is not mine.
Okay. So there's two things coming up for me. The first is bringing me back to, if it's been put in your heart, if it's been put in your mind, if this is like a deep desire, it's yours. And it's just about you listening to it, because you're, again, breadcrumbing, you're being guided somewhere. But often we're too much in this like 3D mind world where if you don't see the how, you don't do it. And I will tell you, get used to not seeing the how, because your brain is too small. Like, it just doesn't have the capacity to dream up what is about to happen to you when you say yes. So you just have to get used to that. That's the first thing. Now, what you're talking about more specifically, I think, is like our traumas, our ancestral burdens, like all of those pieces, what is ours and what is not ours. Guess what? All of it is not ours. We are created in, God's perfect form, and everything is available. And so it is only us saying yes to the things that are not ours that is holding us back. And instead of focusing on letting them go and becoming lighter, the majority of us are focused on the fear and scarcity of having to hold onto it and having to carry it in this impossible backpack that drives us into the ground. People don't realize there's a choice. There's a choice to hold the backpack or drop it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so many things. That first concept, I just want everyone to really embody that. Whether it's in a visualization. I get this all the time where I'm leading through clients through visualizations and they get, something, and right away they're like, oh, but that's so out there. And I'm like, what? There is no way you would have been able to see it, feel it, dream it if it were not possible for you.
The universe is not on a budget.
Yes. Okay. And now I want to come back to that second point, which is so beautiful of it is always this choice. And I love how you say it is nothing is ours in the beginning, in this creation. And I want to talk to you because I think you're a beautiful, beautiful example of this. So this false narrative that if we don't carry something, we will lose connection to someone if we release what not is ours. So let's use this backpack analogy, right? If we're holding something in a backpack that attaches us to someone else, right? Let's just use that really physical metaphor. We're hiking up a mountain and we have a backpack and we're carrying someone else's water. We feel responsible for that because we know they're going to be thirsty. Eventually they're going to need it, right? And we fear that if we put that down, number one, that they might not pick it up. But of course, that's not our business, but that is something that our mind shares. And then it's, well, if I don't have something they need, or if I put this thing down, will I lose connection, right? Especially with ancestral lines. If I decide that I do not want this, our mind is like, okay, well, you're going to lose connection. And I believe that is false. But sometimes to believe that, we need physical evidence and proof. And luckily for everyone here, Shannon, you are physical evidence and proof of this, that you have released these things. And yet, I would say that you are even more connected to those that matter in your life now than you were when you were holding on to that. So can you speak to that? Can you maybe give us some examples of to really allow this to shift for people?
Yeah.
To
The first thing I want to do is question, because what you're doing is you're defaulting to the negative, that it could only be
Yes.
bad to let it down. What about these two other options that we never talk about? It could be completely neutral, of nobody even noticed that you even had the bag or didn't have the bag. Or it can be incredibly beautiful and this gift that this man that you're hiking with is like, oh, you need me to carry that? Thank you. Thank you for giving me purpose and like allowing that ease in your life.
Yes.
There's always three options, and nobody tells us that because we're just pumped with all of this toxic, negative narrative, especially through media. And having traveled the world now, Middle East and Asia, I see how much propaganda is being fed to us. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And so that is how they keep us scared and not connected to ourselves. Because we do have this power. We are born with this power. And we're in the age of Aquarius since not last November, the November before, and the age of Aquarius is the rise of technology and the rise of spirituality. And so no surprise, I'm in that journey, right? So you're going to very clearly see people coming back to God, people coming back to like non-traditional, like necessarily institution, but like knowing they're connected. And then we're seeing already like how fast AI and all these other technologies are happening, right? And so it's so important to honor and balance as opposed to, very soon they're going to offer us some sort of microchip or something in our body. It's happening. It's coming, right? And so many people are going to see the benefits. But we're always connected to that. We don't need something external to be put in our body to get these messages and these downloads. And they're going to sell us because I don't know.
Gonna be something
Coming, right? Well, let's first talk about there's always options. There's always options. And so I am a perfect example, I'll say, of that when you do say yes, it can only get better. But that's also my belief. If you believe it's only going to get worse, law of attraction, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Right? And so really one of the tools that I have that is super easy to use is what is the worst thing that's going to happen here? So like with this AI business, lots of fear, of course, around that. It's a very expensive type of business to have. And so I had to look at what's the worst thing that's going to happen. I'll lose a couple $100,000 and I'll have to go get a job. That literally was the worst. What? No worse. No. And then when I looked at that, I'm like, okay, I've been an entrepreneur for 11 years. It's not possible for me to get a job. Like I'll just call somebody and I'll get some opportunity. Okay, for real. And then, okay, I spent a couple $100,000 investing and believing in my dream. Like what a gift. What a gift for me to be able to have the proof that says I said yes. I said yes. So I'm like, I'm willing to pay that price because I want that life experience. I want the lessons that come with it because that's what's enriching me.
Yeah. I love that because when you can allow yourself to go there, just like you did, and I know you are too. We are just firm believers in laughter, in lightness and humor. And I just love how like many people, I think, would say, well, if I envision what the worst thing can happen, then I'm just going to cry and be so sad. And it's no. Hear what Shannon just said, because this happens to me all the time. We imagine the worst thing that could happen and we burst out laughing because it's that
so silly. That's it.
It's so silly. Real. That's it. And in that laughter, in that release, in that movement of that stagnant energy, which is fear, you come to the other side of this beautiful opportunity, but it comes through the laughter. It comes through the lightness.
But that's somatic healing.
Yes. Okay, so bring us full purple. Yes. Yes.
That is somatic. That's why we have the festival. It literally a buffet. The Aurea Goddess Festival is a buffet of different opportunities that I have traveled the world and experienced, but I'm bringing here locally to BC so that you can move this energy out of you and you don't have to try to figure it out yourself. You just have to say yes to showing up and doing something you may or may not have tried before, right? So an example of that is a rage ceremony. A rage ceremony is let's move the sounds and the anger out of your body. Let's yell. When's the last goddamn time you've yelled? Probably not counting your children, because, you know.
Yeah, to say, that's not fair.
Not really.
I yell all the time at softball.
But no. It's a different kind of yelling.
Different kind, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like, when's the last time you've danced like nobody's watching you?
Yes.
When's the last time you really let yourself have an ugly cry? Right? So many of us have been just bottling it all in and hoping it gets better. Does that ever happen when you take a bottle of pop and you shake it and it gets better? No, the pressure just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, so we're going to come back to the festival in a bit because I want to talk more about it. But first, I really want to, because what I love about you is you are so embodied that you're not thinking about what you're going to say before you say it. You simply say it, which is, I love that we could both do this. So I want to do a bit of quick fire. And I think because quick fire, it allows people listening to also shift so quickly. So I'm going to maybe just jam on a short sentence, and I just want you to take over and finish it. Okay. Somatic healing is not blank.
Bullshit.
Okay. The biggest lie or the biggest myth that high-achieving women believe about success is
they have to be a man.
Oh my gosh. More strategy will never fix blank.
Okay.
You know your body is leading, or you know your body is online when
you get and all the downloads and all the messaging leading you where you've asked to go.
The best part about following the breadcrumbs and trusting yourself is
the journey and the adventure and the fun and the presence of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want everyone to hear that. The journey, the fun, the excitement, without, as you were saying before, fully knowing the how and just allowing yourself to be in the moment because you trust that whatever moment is coming next is for you.
Ladies, we're here. There's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to be. There's no more mountain to climb. We're here. This is it.
This is it.
This is it. And that's the darkness is always wanting us to continue to push, continue to not be available for the beauty of what you've created.
Ooh, that is, oh my gosh, I'm laughing because I feel that what you just said there is something that will land for me even more deeply after. Because again, it's seeing the whole picture. Can you say that again for me? Not that the listeners need to hear it again, but for me, of that darkness, what? What did you say?
That I never repeat the same thing, but the darkness.
I know. Oh my gosh.
We're being manipulated by the darkness to always want more, so we can never really land presently in what we've created. We can never really appreciate our own creations. And we're here, we've done it. There's nothing more.
What's next? Not like right here. Oh my gosh.
It's now. It is right now. In, the beautiful, cozy reading nook you have in your house, right? To, being able to drop your phone and just be present with your kid at the park. This is it.
This is it. This is it.
The ring is a choice. You don't have to want.
All right. It is such. And, you know, what, going back to something you said earlier in the conversation, is I'll just speak for myself. I learn best through experience, right? And when I embody and choose and do what I want and follow the breadcrumbs and really embody this belief, which is true, which is I always have a choice, we are, by example, showing the next generation. And also, like, we're in this sandwich generation, I feel, that I felt this more strongly over the past few years. I have, before that, I was very focused on this next generation. But also, the more I'm in this work, I'm like, no, I also can influence the generation that came before me and that, right? And it's like there's no better way to teach than to embody and simply
If
show.
you're not embodying, don't teach, please.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
AI can tell me
Yeah.
whatever the hell I want. If I'm going to be a human, if I'm going to listen to a human, I want to see it in your action, in your demonstration, and your energy. I want to feel it.
And the frequency, feeling the frequency.
Feel
Yeah.
it. In you, I don't want you to have to tell me from the brain. I want to know.
Yeah. And I just think, again, this is why I think you are just a beautiful example of this, because you do that and you also have this AI technology background where you're not saying, not this. You're saying, and all. And also, I think that it's the frequency that
It's
I think
permission.
is.
And permission
Yeah.
is the word that is
Yeah.
coming to me. That you get to choose.
Yeah.
It's not from your parents. It's not from your spouse. It's not from your children. It's from your lineage. It's not from the media. You get to choose. And a part of the journey, I want to talk about something that I wasn't prepared for, or most people are not prepared for when they say yes to this.
Okay.
And that is reason, season, and light.
Okay.
Not everyone is meant to be with you on this journey forever. And you have to be very okay with it. You have to be able to appreciate the reason, the season, the lifetime, whatever it may be they've shown up for, right? And be ready and willing to release. And so many people are being called into this next version of themselves, but they cannot let go, whether it be their friends, whether it be their family, whether it be their partner, whether it be their child, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Relationships are a living thing. They are meant to evolve, right? And sometimes, just like seasons, just like wintertime, the flowers die, right? Have to make room for the new flowers.
Ooh, this just hit because, in our charts, we are different energies, but we overlap. And I just want to share this for you. This evolution of relationship, if anyone is a numerologist listening, the 5 of Hearts is in your chart in Saturn it is a lesson in this lifetime that you are here to embody and share. So right when you said that, I pinged, you can't see me listening, I looked to the side or look at my charts that I have on the left, and I was like, boom, this is why it lands when you hear it from Shannon, because you are, but the thing is again, this breadcrumb, this is full circle. In order to teach that, right, in order to embody the Saturn energy, you first had to live it. You first had to experience it. And so really, truly, thank you for being, oh my gosh, you know me. Can I get through any conversation without crying? Never. But thank you for being willing to go into this experience, to allow yourself to live this, and being brave enough and bold enough and sure of yourself to share it, because this is for everybody. Your lived experiences, it is different for each person. But when you can not only go into that with surrender and curiosity, but also be willing and called to serve and share that on the other end, this is how we collectively shift and change and evolve. So thank you
I receive.
for being willing to do this.
I receive that so deeply. I will share, if you follow me on social media, my life looks very glamorous. But I will also share, I have never been more alone, right? Through this experience of what I'm being called to do, it was very clear that it was time to say goodbye to my marriage, that it wasn't actually serving me. And this was not a new revelation. This was something that had been sitting and yelling at me for years. We were together for 14 years. You know, this journey that I'm on right now is deep work to finally learn how to love myself. I've been separated for 2 years, and I think I'm only just scratching the surface of this. Because I was constantly, and I still am, I'm constantly seeking outside of myself. And this is a lesson in self-trust, right? And embarking on a huge entrepreneurial journey that is very expensive and very challenging and very risky. Again, another way of learning how to self-love and self, right? And so I know where this is going to lead me because it has been placed in me. And so now my journey is about being excited, right? Every single day I get to walk one step closer to that, right? God gave me my life's purpose 2 years ago. And so I have complete visualization of what this looks like, what this feels like, how it's going to be, how joyful it is. Spoiler alert, it's seniors communes for healers around the world in all the blue zones.
Sign me up.
Oh, you and everyone else.
Cool.
So I know how much fun is coming, but I have to do these things first, right?
First.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. And just one example of how you serve and share and create space for other women is the festival. So take a moment and talk to us about this festival coming up, please.
Yeah, so this is not Shannon's idea. And the festival is another type of risky endeavor where you carry a lot. So I literally, in, Costa Rica, I went to sit with plant medicine. On the second night, I received a message. There must be a festival. It was like a lightning bolt. And immediately I'm like, okay, I understand. And then I went to create that. And within 4 months, we have the festival last year. And so 150 women have gone to really focus on themselves and their own, journey of coming back home. And the festival is an opportunity over 3 days to sample different experiences with different types of practitioners, to be in sisterhood, to laugh, to get some time away, to reflect and think and get clarity, to laugh and to dance and to play. And this year we have a property that has water, so we're going to do a whole bunch of water therapy as well. And this year we're going to have 2 full days of festival, and then we'll have an integration day for the VIPs. So
Beautiful.
We can actually, get one with ourselves and get centered and grounded and then reintegrate back into life. So for those women who have always dreamed of going on a retreat, that in a more beautiful community setting, it's very affordable. It's camping or glamping, depending on the type of person you are. If you have an RV, bring your RV. It is a very open, loving, accepting community, very supportive. So for those of you who are like, oh my God, I don't know who to come with, but you're feeling like I'm really interested in learning more, guess what? You're not meant to drag somebody else on. This is your first initiation to saying yes to you.
Yes.
You can go to aureafestival.com. You can see all of our facilitators are practitioners. You're going to be able to get healing hands. So like different sessions and ceremonies like cacao and a raid ceremony, release ceremony, yoni steaming, things like that, where you're like, I don't even know what this is. Well, yeah, guess what? You get to sample.
I love it.
Well, right?
Oh, okay.
But most importantly, like, this is an investment in you. This isn't music and drugs. This is like literally getting some time and space to really look at yourself. And I know you've been craving it. We've all been craving it. Right? And we're going to do that thing next year. When did next year ever come?
Yeah. Yep. I love that. Okay, we'll put all of that in the show notes for everyone. And as we close here, you know, we've talked about so much of really the magic in the present moment. And so I'm just feeling really called to ask you right here, right now, in the present moment, is there anything else that you are feeling called to share?
We're all important. We all have a message. We all have a gift. We are all here to change the world, raise the vibration, and remember. And the only thing stopping you from stepping into your is you.
Beautiful. Nothing more to say. Let it end there. Thank you, Shannon, so much for being here. So appreciate you. So love you. I'm so grateful for you in this world. Please, everyone, connect with Shannon. Again, we'll put all of her information in the show notes, whether that's coming to the festival, connecting with her on Instagram, just allowing yourself to receive the beautiful gift that she shared with us today. So thank you, Shannon, so much.
Thank you, Jessica, for your work and what you do.
Always. Okay, talk to you all later.